Thank you so much, and thank you for having us. Today, I want to talk a little bit about a resource that everyone in Warren and Clinton County have access to. This is a mobile responsive stabilization services. What we do is we meet the person and the family where they are at, try to de-escalate a situation, any type of behavioral health, mental health, conduct issue that a family or a friend or a school might have with a child and adolescent. We can respond. We have intervention techniques that are sensitive to age-specific needs to youth, 0 to 20, and families, whatever they are at the moment that the crisis occurs. We have 4 simple values. Number 1 is to meet people where they're at, so that's why we're mobile. We have master level clinicians that can mobilize at whatever time, 24/7, 365. And I'll talk a little bit about how does that look in a second. The second value that we have is safety for all. We want to make sure that youth and children that are experiencing either suicidal, homicidal ideation, they are appropriately screened and assessed, and being able to be able to determine what's the level of treatment that's needed at the moment to remain safe. And the third value is family unification. We are trying to avoid or decrease the hospital emergency department usage. We are also trying to decrease the juvenile court. Oh, I didn't put that correctly. And then also, our 4th value is connection with treatment and resources. And we do that in 2 stages, and I'll talk a lot about those stages here in a second. So what behaviors will MRSS help with? We help with people and children and families that are escalated, youth that might have some behavioral issues, mental health issues, addiction and substance abuse, physical or emotional trauma, also trauma response, school truancy, or also running away from home, and also parent-child or caregiver-child conflicts. So we have a philosophy that the person, the family, the caregiver are the ones that define the crisis. So what might be a crisis for Ms. Smith might not be a crisis for Ms. Carrillo. But we're always responding within 60 minutes to try to address and to de-escalate. So we have access hours. The access hours that are in the PowerPoint are for, we have therapists that are available 365, 7 days a week, 9 to 10 p.m. daily. However, we also have 365, 24/7 if we're utilizing our adult teams. So that's something that we do ongoing. We just tell people call whenever, even though our shifts end at 10, we still have a therapist available to respond within 60 minutes. And the other thing that's very peculiar about this program is that we take an approach that we are trying to serve the family system, not the individual child. So what I mean by that is that whenever we are addressing a crisis, we are not only identifying the child that might be exhibiting behaviors or symptoms, but we talk about what is everyone in the family doing, or what can everyone in the family do to prevent another crisis like this? What can mom do? What can dad do? What can sister do? What can Ann do if they live there? To be able to provide, to offer an environment where the crisis will not occur again. So what we do is families under distress, and they call to the crisis hotline, and I will give it in a second, requesting MRSS services. The MRSS therapist will intervene with the escalations and interventions focused on the family system and trauma-informed care. Then the therapist will follow up with the family for a planning session within 48 hours from the first call. And then they will have, those MRSS services can continue for 30 or even 42 days, and depending on the goals and the plans that are developed. The referral, then our team will make additional referrals or have a planning session with other providers that are involved with the family. to make sure that the family transitions out from MRSS into some services or natural resources. It could be a parenting class, it could be a club, it could be something else that will be important for the child and the family to avoid a crisis. Families can access MRSS services for additional support whenever. So the fact that someone has called MRSS one time, they can keep calling as many times as they need. And this is a little bit of the work that we do and that we address the family. First, we talk about how does the crisis occur? And we talk about what is mom doing, what is dad doing, what are the first signs that crisis can occur, what is the trigger, what is the agitation, the acceleration, what happens when the youth of the child reaches the peak of the crisis, and how can we start de-escalating. So our goal is to be able to catch the crisis either at the alert, at the trigger, or at the trigger level, so it does not escalate to where the family or the youth or child will have consequences like a hospitalization or a placement in juvenile detention. So who can make a referral to MRSS? Anyone is the short answer. We get a lot of referrals from family members or friends. We get referrals for law enforcement officers, probation officers, the school. Sometimes we get referrals from other providers that they say maybe the child is going through a transition, maybe the family is going through a transition. We also get referrals from Children's Services in Warren County, where they are sending us referrals for each child that gets placed in foster care system. We have seen a reduction of replacement for the children that get referred to our programs, meaning they are able to stay within the family that they get placed the first time. And this is our hotline number, 877-695-6333. That is the county hotline. You can also access any type of phone support or also mobile response for adults through this hotline. Thank you so much.